Welcome to the Intimacy Unlocked podcast. I'm Serena Haines, your everything to do with sex coach, and I'm here to answer all of your juiciest sex questions. Hello, lovers, and welcome back to Intimacy Unlocked with Serena Haines. That's me, your everything to do with sex coach. And today we are getting into the nitty-gritty questions. I cannot wait. I'm healing from a ridiculous cold, so I have my little vulva mug full of God only knows what. You'll never know. No, it's water. I had these mugs made a couple of years ago. Actually, I had 2 mugs made, and I reached out to Halifax Henna, a local shop here, and I said, can you make me some mugs with vulvas on them? And I actually had no idea if she was going to say yes or not, and she did. She made me 2, and I gave one away. But anyway, my little vulva mug has traveled with me everywhere I go. So now you guys get to meet her as well. All kinds of different looking vulvas because we're all different. So we got a lot of questions come in since the last time we recorded. I'm absolutely blown away by you guys. We had to get not 1, but 2 new forms to accommodate all of the questions that came in. So we're going to dive into these questions today. I don't want to wait any longer. We have 7, 8 questions that we're going to kind of mull through today. Yeah, and you're going to like it. I think you're really going to like it because it's getting me excited just looking at these questions. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so question number 1. So these all came in through our anonymous form that you can find in the podcast notes. You can do your anonymous form or your anonymous voicemails. We love both, and we're going to do both today too. So question 1, are you ready for this one? I really want a deep throat, but every time I almost throw up. Wait, okay, I did throw up. Like real puke. OMG, help. Man, I get it. I've been there. I don't know about you, Sarah, but I have been in those moments where I'm like, sir, could you please just not like me that much right now?
I could have written this question. Truly. This is a real problem.
It is a real problem. But you know what? There's a real solution. And we all want, I'm going to talk about 2 different things here now. We all want to be able to do that, okay? So I'm going to explain, first of all, for those who are listening who don't know what deep throating is. Deep throat is when you take your partner's penis all the way into the back of your throat, sometimes past the point of no return, okay? And some people really like that and some people don't. There's going to be instances where we are giving oral sex to our partners where maybe we want to go all the way, maybe we can't go all the way. Anatomy has a lot to do with that. And your, gag reflex. We all have a gag reflex. So we have to work with that as well. But there are ways that we can get around it. So deep throating is taking it all in. First of all, if you don't want to deep throat, you can still give really, really great oral. I want to touch on that first because people think that that's the epitome of amazing oral for a person with a penis. Because why? We see it in porn all the time. We see it in porn and there's gagging and spitting and mascara and everything. And calm down out there. I know you really like it, but there can also be a space for that not to happen. And we'll talk about that after. But let's get to this question. So deep throating can be done in a couple of different ways. You can train yourself to be able to deep throat. You can train your gag reflex by using a toothbrush or a finger or something to kind of push to the back of your throat and give it a little how do you do every now and then to just kind of see where your gag reflex is, okay? Now, the second thing that I like to tell people is when you are planning on deep throating, or if you have a partner and you would like them to deep throat, could you please... this is a blanket statement from all people out there who have penises in their mouths. Could you please just go slow? Because there's nothing that's going to happen if you come to me or come to a jaw of any kind and just slam it in there. It's not going to work as well as if you ease yourself in, just like anything, really, right? We talk about not wanting to have any sort of insertion or penetration until people's bodies are ready. It's the same thing with your mouth. Not only is it your gag reflex, but your jaw muscles have to relax. Your body has to relax. Your breath has to sync with kind of the movements that you're doing. So give your partner a second to allow their mouth to open. If you're the partner, give yourself a minute to allow everything to open. And then when you start to kind of take the penis or the dildo or whatever it is that you're trying to deep throat into your mouth, open your mouth and stick your tongue out, like really long. That's going to give your throat a lot more room to open up in order to be able to take the dick. Okay? So, sorry, I couldn't help it. I could just see Paul Rudd in the mirror going, "You're going to take this dick. We're going to get your dick in." Have you seen that movie, Wanderlust? Have you seen it? Anybody out there, if you've seen the movie, you get it. Anybody else is like, what is this bitch talking about? Anyway, it's hilarious. So open your mouth, allow your jaw to relax, stick your tongue out. And if you're practicing with a partner that you can really have these conversations with, allow the penis or the dildo, whatever, to go in nice and slowly and see how far you can go. Once it gets all the way in, you want to start breathing through your nose, take a deep breath in through your nose, and then just like you would with the doctor, and just see how far you can go back. You're not always going to be able to jam it in the back of the throat really hard. That's the other thing, the other misconception that we have about great deep throating is that it's in and out all the time. There's nothing better sometimes than if you can get to the point of your gag or just a little bit past, and you keep your mouth over it, and then just allow your partner to very slowly kind of massage the back of your throat with the dick, rather than it coming in and out all the time, because they're constantly then hitting the gag, hitting it and hitting it. But if you're already in there, just allow it, just like you would if maybe you were, inside another body part, a vag or, an anal cavity where you're just kind of sitting and grinding. Allow your partner to grind. And if you're the partner, just grind a little bit. Now it says, I almost threw up. Okay, I did throw up, like real puke. And I'm really, I have a lot of compassion for that because we've kind of all been there. Just know that it's normal. I say this with like my heart is breaking right now. You don't have to keep going. I've been in situations where I felt so embarrassed that I felt like I had to keep going. And I know that there's part of some partners that are like, this is hot. She gagged on my dick. I got, throw up everywhere. But, sometimes you really want to just get up and tidy that up a little bit before you continue on. So just give yourself that grace to say, you know what, babe, that was amazing. But you know what, we got to tidy this up because I'm not putting my mouth on that again. Like, you're allowed to say that. Okay. And if you're the partner and your partner does that for you, could you please be really, really kind and say, you know what, babe, just stop for a second. Let me go take care of that. Because they could feel really embarrassed by that. They could feel really sad that they're not able to please you the way that they really wanted to, especially depending on your dynamics in your relationship. If that's something that they feel really disappointed in themselves with, you're going to want to be there for that compassion and kind of care in that moment so that you can continue on and so that they feel like they're safe to do that at another time.
I was going to say, how do you get the mood back after the puke moment?
I think it's the communication within that moment is what keeps the mood going, right? Mm-hmm. Like if both of you are like, ew, gross, oh, you can still get it back, don't get me wrong. But after listening to this now, everybody knows that it can be normal and it can happen. So if it does, having really kind care in that moment is going to keep the mood going. Because let's say I've got a dick and somebody throws up on my dick. I could say, oh my God, get off. Or I could keep pounding into it. But, your partner is probably thinking either, like I said, they're disappointed in themselves. They're scared. If that didn't happen before, they might be really scared of what's happening. What's my partner thinking? What's going on? If you were to say, okay, babe, just 1 second, let's just tidy this up. We should always all have little wet wipes, little towels, little whatever's next to our beds anyway for all of the fun, juicy things that happen during sex. So it doesn't take a heck of a lot to kind of give that a little wipe. If it's more, go to the bathroom, do what you need to do. Hold their hair back if they have long hair. Please, if it happens, instinctively, please just grab the hair. There's nothing worse than your eyes watering, you can't breathe, there's throw up everywhere. Now your hair has it and you're like, damn it, now I got to shower. Just help out a little bit. But you can keep the mood now that we know that it's normal. As soon as we talk about things like that, it's not so hard to bring the mood back because you can say, hey, you know what? That sex lady said that this happens sometimes and I don't have to feel bad about it.
Also, could you kind of use some humor too and be
Absolutely.
like, I know that guys like to hear this, but it was so big that I puked.
Right.
That's kind of
Exactly.
a way to kind of lighten the mood.
Right. And you can lighten the mood that way. It depends on how you're feeling about it. You know, you can be like, oh, babe, sorry about that. But, you know, what did you expect with what you have down there or whatever? Because, you know, a lot of the times when the opposite's happening and you know, I've had people say when the stories that I get are when she throws up on me, you know, it makes me feel really big. It makes me feel really good. I don't want to stop. I'm actually not upset about it. I don't care if there's throw up down there. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, sir. But I don't want to be sucking on my own vomit. So if you don't mind, I would really like it, even though, you know, sure, your dick is amazing, but I would really love to tidy this up before we continue on. But yeah, you're right. Like allowing that space to be like, ooh, babe, look what happened. This is amazing, right? Or if you're the partner trying to give, you know, some consolation to the partner who did throw up, you could be like, baby, you did so good. Look how great you did in there, and give a lot of praise and a lot of admiration for how hard they must have had to work for that moment to happen.
A round of applause.
Yeah. Bravo, darling. Bravo. As I pick up my clit here, honestly, I got a DM today to somebody who listened to the first episode. And she goes, first of all, can we talk about the clit that you had in your hand? And I was like, yeah. And I went on kind of like a real explanation. And she goes, no. I want to know where I can get my own fidget clit. And I was like, a fidget clit. That's exactly what it is. I'm literally always fidgeting with my clitoris. And that's what we need to do now is get people some fidget clits.
We have official merch already.
We have to. Yeah, we've got to get that merch. I'd rather cream than squirt. I'm not letting that one die. Sarah laughs because years and years ago, I said this on her podcast, and I'm not letting it die. And it has to be 4 years ago that happened? Yeah, anyways. Okay, let's get on to question number 2. It says, my husband, this is a fun one. My husband has been doing something called Jelqing, okay, to make his penis bigger. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited because he's never been big enough for me. Quote, that's their confession. Question though, does this work and how long does it take? Okay, so let's get into something. Jelqing is a technique that you can use if you have a penis to help your penis grow. I'm using, if you don't see me, I'm going to use a lot of air quotes in this as well, because a lot of these techniques that are out there to help a penis grow may or may not work for everybody. And sometimes only work minimally. Sometimes they work great. But I can't answer this question without first saying, your penis is perfect the way it is, right? I'll get into explaining what this is. And, you know, if you want to try it, you can. But your penis is amazing. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect shape. I would say the same thing to anybody with a vulva and a clitoris. Your body is perfect. And there are so many ways that you can find pleasure and self-esteem and self-worth within the body that you have. Now, with that said, Jelqing, it's a technique that is used to basically create little tears in the tissues of the penis, because then when it heals with a little scar tissue, just like anything would, and helps it grow, helps it look like it grows a little bit. Now, these are not the same thing, so don't come at me, but the comparison is easy for people to think about. Your penis is not a muscle. It's not muscular tissue. It is smooth tissue. It's different completely. However, when we go to the gym, what do we talk about? We talk about working a muscle to fatigue, ripping the muscle apart in order then to eat protein to build the muscle, and that's how muscles grow in the gym. So the theory is that the same thing could happen to the smooth muscle in the penis. Now, there has been very, very little research on this, good or bad. Okay, very little research to state that it will definitely work, and very little research to say that there isn't going to be issues. Now, the research out there that says, you know, this is a safe practice is more, so it's good. All right, so it's very rare that you could probably hurt yourself enough that this is something that you don't want to do. The technique is it's very simple. You really just wrap an O with your fingers around the base of your penis, hard or soft, usually soft to begin with, and you stretch it, and you pull it, and you stretch it, and I can't pull and stretch this silicone without some lube. But anyway, you pull and you stretch and you pull and you stretch and you pull and you stretch and you do it, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. And what it's supposed to do is create these little microscopic tears in the penis, in the tissues on the inside. And once they heal, when you're all healed up, maybe 2 or 3 months later, if you've done this every day for X number of minutes, then you would see up to, research says, it's only been recorded up to about 1 inch, which is quite a bit, if I do say so myself. And the girth as well. You might find a little bit of difference in girth. I can't stress enough that there's very little, to no research to say that this is definitely a practice that you should be doing that's going to work for real, but it seems relatively safe. Make sure you're using a lube. Okay, so use a lot of lube, kind of put it on there and pull. You don't want to pull so much that you're really ripping apart those, like everything that's underneath the skin. I'm not going to get into everything, but it's the same as if you were to pull the skin on your face and, mess up the collagen and the fibers that are holding your skin together. This is the same idea, is that you would create the scars, create the tissue damage so that when it heals, there's more girth and length. I don't know if it's going to work. It does take, I'm just reading the question, how long does it take? Research is showing that it's like 3 to 6 months worth of consistent technique, consistent work, that people are starting to see a little bit of a difference. So
micro tears sounds terrifying.
It does. If I had a micro tear in my pussy, I don't think I would be very happy. I don't know. To each their own. I understand why people want to do these things, I get it. We've been, quote, self-mutilating our bodies for perfection for eons, and that's kind of, listen, I get Botox. I do the things. I get it. Like, I'm not sitting here preaching. If you really want to do something like that, give it a shot, try it. Please make sure you're doing it safe. If you find any pain, it could be discomfort, but if there's any pain at all, if for some reason your erections are not the way that they used to be, you're having challenges with ejaculation, your testicles start hurting, there's any blood, any of those things, immediately stop, right? And keep an eye on the progress of that technique so that, well, this is where I started and this is where I am right now. And if after a couple of months you see no difference, then, you might want to think about something else. There's lots of penis pumps if you just want, like acute growth, like in that moment. You can pump up and put on a C-ring, put on a cock ring and have a lot of fun with that. You can, if you really want to go forward with it, you can definitely see a medical professional and talk about implants if that's something that you're into as well. But please don't do anything that's going to really harm your body. Let it be a fun activity if that's what you're doing, but don't let it kind of take over your life. Okay, so hopefully Jelqing is maybe on or off the table for you, but it's not, I don't recommend ever micro tearing your penis, but if it's something that really makes you feel good, then go for it. Okay, next question. How can I help become more open to sex? I feel like my vag is shut down. Okay, the fact that you said, I feel like my vag is shut down, I think there are so many people listening right now that are going to be like, yeah, I get it. Because that's what it feels like, right? Like that's what it feels like. It feels like everything is shut down. There's a do not enter sign. There's a I don't give a shit sign on it. Like you're just completely done and wondering, where did I go, right? So I don't know your age. I don't know, what's going on in your life. I don't know any of those stressors that are happening in your life for you to feel like you're shut down. It can be something from, something happening specifically that you feel shut down. It can be an age thing. I mean, listen, I'm perimenopausal now. I'm in so many groups of people who are talking about, the way that their bodies are working and what we need. If you're in a long-term relationship and maybe you feel like your desire has depleted, that could be one thing. And maybe if you're single and you haven't, incorporated sex in your life for a long time, it can feel really daunting to kind of get back into it because your body does shut down. So a couple of things that I wanted to kind of talk about is when we feel shut down like that, we want to think about our boundaries, our shame, and our self-care. Okay. Those are a couple of things that are going to be really important. The boundaries that you have around and had around who touches me and what's going on. So sometimes we're going to think to ourselves, I'm shut down. Maybe I should just go out and do it so that I can get back into the swing of things. And that's not a bad idea, but you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with saying to yourself, I just need to get back on that horse, right? Ride a cowboy, save a, ride a horse, save a cowboy. No. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. So like getting back out there and doing those things. The shame that you might have around that then is going to kind of limit you or not. So you're going to want to talk to yourself or talk to your sex coach about, what could be happening in my life that is shutting me down like this? What, where did this come from? Sometimes we think it's we think it's this A thing, but really when we dive deep, something really did happen or something was going on in our bodies. Your self-pleasure is going to be I think, I'm like a broken record when I say it, but your self-pleasure practice is going to be the most important thing, whether you're in a relationship or not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be blasting out the orgasms all the time and getting all these different toys and apparatuses and shoving things inside your body all the time. Touching our bodies really, really gently is going to start opening you up. I have a really important technique or progress that clients come into me and they feel shut down. Another word that we use is numb, right? If we have a numb pussy, no matter what I do, no matter how I try to masturbate, no matter what toys I use, nothing gets me there. It just feels completely numb. I feel useless. And then when I get to a certain point of masturbating and it feels still numb, then I feel foolish. Then I just stop. Then I feel completely worthless. And I don't want to keep going. It's because we're jumping in too quickly, right? We're literally doing the thing to our own bodies that we wish nobody else would do to us. When you're with a partner, we can't enjoy sex if you kiss and then all of a sudden there are things being inserted into you or there's somebody playing the DJ booth on your clit. Immediately you're like, whoa, it's a shock to the system. But we do that to ourselves in our self-care practice, our self-pleasure practice all the time where we've been, it's lovely that, women especially are being encouraged to get toys and play with vibrators and do all this stuff and smash that shame. And I love that. But there's a little piece that's missing where if you can take a vibrator and put it on your clitoris, but you can't touch your clitoris with your hand, you're missing a connection there for your body to start feeling safe in those moments and to have moments of juicing up a little bit. So my recommendation for anybody feeling numb or anybody feeling like their vag is just dead is to start doing what's called a vulva hug. So a vulva hug is really simple and it is just what it is. So I've got my Venus model here from Granville Medical. They're a woman-owned company that have created these models for different medical professionals and OBGYNs. Prior to Granville Medical, as far as I know, they were doing episiotomies and all kinds of different things on fruits and random textiles. And they created this product, which is absolutely amazing. But a vulva hug really is just what it is. This is my vulva. It's between my legs. Here's my hand. I place the palm of my hand on my clitoris or my pubic mound, and I put my hand all the way down, covering my vaginal opening, not inserting anything, and just hold it. Just hold it and just say hello. Your connection between your vulva and your heart is so important. The safety that our vulva needs to feel in order to really blossom and get as juicy as possible. I mean, it's there, but we've never been taught or told that it's okay for us to practice that. So what I want you to do immediately, right now in this moment, is take your hand, put it on your vulva before bed, in the morning, and say, good morning, beautiful. I love you, right? And people laugh at me all the time, but these positive affirmations for your vulva are so important. Pussy in and of itself is like a living, breathing organism all on its own, right? It needs to feel trust. It needs to feel worth. It needs to feel protected. It needs to feel safe. It needs to feel warm. I don't know. Some people like their pussy feeling cold. But if you come near me with an ice cube or a menthol and you try to do some of those fun novelty things of going down, I'm like, no, thank you. Turn the fan off. I need this shit to be warm. Anyways, do a little vulva hug. When you're doing your vulva hug, just start stroking very slowly up your labia, not doing anything near your clitoris or inside. Stroke your labia on the outside, just a little bit, and then start stroking the inside labia as well. There's no end to this. This is not a self-pleasure practice. I'm not trying to warm you up to get to orgasm. This really is a practice all on its own, just to say, oh, hey, I see you. I recognize you. I know you're there. Remember that attention goes where energy flows. Why do I always get that backwards? Attention goes where energy flows. So think about our counterparts who have penises for a minute and think about how often we make fun, quote, make fun of dudes with their hands down their pants, cupping their balls, naming their penises, fooling around with, whatever. It's so socially acceptable for people with penises to have that connection with their bodies where their dick is their little buddy, right? And then we wonder why they can maybe feel so much more open and happy and alive in their sexuality. And we, as people with vulva owners, especially if we were socialized as women, were told to cross your legs, close your legs. Nobody gets to touch that. Don't you touch it either. That's not what we're supposed to do. That's unhealthy. And then wonder why we feel closed down or shut down or have a really hard time moving forward in finding our sexuality. Okay. So how do I feel more open to sex? I feel like my vag is shut down. Step 1, vulva hug. I want you to start touching yourself. Okay. Allowing yourself that trust. Once you start to feel the pleasure, whether it's just stroking yourself, whether it's playing with your clitoris, you're going to start finding your fuck yes and your fuck no. You're going to start finding those moments where you're like, you know what? I've let people all of my life do the little DJ booth on my clit, but God damn it, I really don't like it. And I'm going to start saying, not like that, babe. Try it this way. And we're going to get into how do we do dirty talk and how we can give feedback in a really positive way as well. But knowing what your fuck yes and fuck no is going to really help open you up to that sex.
If I can just add this, because this is an issue I have too.
Yeah.
The power of fantasizing.
Mm.
Like really taking a moment to slow down and think about like a hot experience you had in the past, or even what I do is I just watch porn. And it gets me in the mood.
Right.
Eventually.
So watching the porn, or if you don't like watching porn, although there's so much great porn now made for women by women, which is absolutely amazing. Like from the female gaze, I'm just like, oh my God, this lighting in and of itself is fucking horny. Like I love it. Audio erotica is another way, right? You start kind of like listening to things. Again, it's bringing attention to sex. We've said in this podcast, it's the whole reason I'm doing this. Sex begets sex. So you want to immerse yourself into things that make you feel really good about yourself. Reading, my God, smut talk is massive, right? Like get in there, get some books, start reading these things. Using your fantasies to kind of help guide you and where you want to go. But sometimes it's hard to fantasize yourself. You really want to have something in front of you or something that you're listening to. And listen to that stuff. Like I have some clients that their homework is actually to listen to autoerotica on their drive to and from work. So we're taking the sex and we're taking it out of the bedroom. But what that does is it creates this charge in your body, this erotic charge in your body all day, all the time. And you're going to a place where you're not supposed to masturbate in the bathroom. Okay, listen, I'm not going to call y'all out, but I know that some of you do. Okay. Anyways, that's fine. Just don't tell your boss. But it's just going to create this erotic charge in your body the whole time, right? Or if you do it on the way home, it's going to create an erotic charge in your body, which also, for the record, helps transition out of work mode into home mode. So even if you're going home to the kids, I know that that sounds so counterintuitive to get yourself horny before you go home to the kids. But really what it is just interrupting a thought pattern, leaving work where it is, interrupting it and doing something for yourself on the transition home, and then stepping into another world where maybe you're required to be something for somebody else again. So just allowing those little moments for yourself.
I forget. It's like edging yourself, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Edging yourself like with your fantasies in your brain rather than just like touching yourself, like allowing that sexual energy to be a charge through your body all day long. Breathing, allowing your breath to kind of, every time you inhale, expand your pelvic floor. And every time you exhale, contract it just a little bit. Not one of these massive Kegels or huge pelvic floor exercises, just a really energetic attention put to your vulva or your penis for that matter. Relaxing your pelvic floor is going to start moving you forward. Now, another thing physically that we can do, an actual exercise that's really great to do is if you know those foam rollers that you have like for your back and stuff, if you straddle a foam roller or even like the corner of a sofa or something, and you allow that to massage your pelvic floor just a little bit, it's going to help bring the blood flow there. And anywhere that blood flows, your attention goes. It doesn't matter what it is in your body. If your blood flow is going there, your attention is going to go there. Yeah. Okay. What's next? All right. So, this is a good one. I really love questions about desire. Desire is such an important concept for us to think about because, okay, let me read the question. I get so ahead of myself. Can you talk more about responsive and spontaneous desire and how to navigate it? My partner and I are polar opposites. Paired with my drive being really low post-ovulation, we struggle a lot. Okay, so let me just clarify here. My drive being really low post-ovulation. So that means you're in your luteal phase. And there is nothing out of the norm about not wanting to have sex in your luteal phase. The luteal phase is the week just before your period. Your hormones are at their most chaotic, and you really are not feeling yourself. For the most part, I don't like saying we only have, quote, good days and bad days or good weeks and bad weeks. I think that as a person who has a menstrual cycle, you really have to just appreciate and roll with everything that's going to happen within that month cycle and allow yourself space and time to understand what's going on in your body. And that way you can appreciate that a little bit more. So in your luteal phase, I know it sounds like you want to have desire, but you just might not, and that's okay. But let's go back to responsive and spontaneous. So what they mean by responsive and spontaneous is desire ways. So we have responsive desire and we have spontaneous desire. Spontaneous desire is like that, I'm just horny. I'm horny. I woke up, I'm horny. I feel like having sex. I want to do the thing. Out of nowhere, I don't know if any women specifically can relate to this, but you can be completely turned off doing something. All of a sudden, just this rush comes in your body and you're like, okay, I'm going to go masturbate immediately. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But for a lot of people with penises, they can be spontaneously horny a lot. They get a lot of erections during the day sometimes. There's a lot of blood flow. Again, like I said, attention goes where there's blood flow. So if they're having that blood flow in their body, they're going to feel a little bit more spontaneous. Now, it doesn't have to be penis owners. People with vulvas have spontaneous desire as well. Responsive desire is the kicker. Responsive desire is, I need the environment to be perfect, not perfect, the environment to be conducive. I need to feel good about myself. I've needed some conversation or communication today. Maybe I've needed to feel pretty. Maybe, in order for me to feel really good about myself, I don't know, maybe I need a bath. Maybe I need something. You're responding to something in the environment. Now, partner to partner, what that looks like for responsive desire is, what I tell people all the time is we play the 5-minute game. Just give me 5 minutes. So your partner will come to you and be like, hey, babe. So let's picture this like universal situation. You are puttering around in the house. You're a person with a vulva. You're puttering around in the house and, your partner comes up to you and slaps your ass and grabs your tit and says, let's fuck. And you're like, how about you let's fuck out of my face right now? Because if you don't, we're going to have a problem, right? It's too abrupt. But that shows that your partner is in his spontaneous or their spontaneous desire in that moment. You have more responsive desire. So although you want to look at them and say, I want to not fuck you in the face. That would actually be a really good thing. Really kind of like back off. I don't want this. Think to yourself, okay, I like this person. I really do like sex. I don't feel it right now. Maybe I could look at my partner and say, hey, can you give me 5 minutes of your time and your energy and your attention? And let's see how my body reacts to it. There's not too many instances where we are consensually with our partners and we're really enjoying them and we love them and we're making out that within about 5 minutes, our bodies don't start to respond a little bit, right? Blood starts flowing to places. We start to feel kind of, horny. We want to start making out and kissing. So in those moments as a couple, let's say, allow the time of this, just give me 5 minutes. If anybody has a better word, a better name for this practice, just let me know. But I've been just doing it for years. It's just give me 5 minutes, where your partner looks at you and recognizes, maybe they're not in the mood right now. And you say to your partner, just give me 5 minutes to get you there. Or you look at your partner and you say, I'm not really feeling it right now. Can I have kisses or neck kisses? Or can you do something? If you want me, you're going to need to give me 5 minutes of something. And then just start kind of making out or start touching or giving a back rub or a hand rub or stroking your face or rubbing your hair, whatever it has to be. It doesn't have to be, nipple sucking, although that really works really fast for a lot of people. But like give yourself 5 minutes of that time, some skin on skin contact. And then you might start to feel your body waking up again. So in this specific question, my partner and I are polar opposites. So that tells me that there's two people here, and I'm assuming maybe you live together. Skin on skin contact is going to be really great for you. A lot of cuddling, a lot of physical contact. The oxytocin that we release when we have that physical contact with people is going to help your desire for that person just kind of come up a little bit quicker. It doesn't mean that you'll be spontaneously, ready to go all the time and maybe horny, but maybe if you've cuddled on the couch, all weekend, and you've done some really fun things together, then on Sunday evening, when they come up and grab your tit, you can be like, oh yeah, babe, this will be fun, because you feel safe and you feel trusted and you feel like you're not just being used as maybe a whole. Because sometimes we don't want to talk about it out loud and we don't want to say those words. But if that foreplay, I have a different idea of what foreplay is than most people. But if that foreplay is not there, that emotional, attention and connection hasn't been there, that communication hasn't been there, doing fun things together, laughing, cuddling, if all of that is not there, then my body just kind of feels like you didn't put any effort in to spend time with me as a person. You didn't put any effort in to do these other things, yet you want to stick your dick in me. So that doesn't work for me, right? And everybody has their different ways, but someone with responsive desire is going to really need that extra little bit of foreplay before they want to settle in. So my recommendation would be to kind of make sure that your partner understands as well. So it sounds like you understand what responsive and spontaneous is, but make sure your partner understands what that is as well. And then sit down and have a conversation about, this is what it would look like if you said to me, I'm really in the mood to, massage your body tonight, or I really want to, be with you tonight. How about we do a little Starbucks and bookstore run, or whatever it is that your partner knows that you really love, right? I don't know. The whole thing is like, get a Starbucks and go to Target kind of thing. Like, do the thing that your partner wants to do for them. And then maybe they'll be a little bit more open to having that time with you in the end. Okay, the next question we have is actually a voicemail, so I'm really excited to hear what this is.
Hi, Serena. I'm curious, as a sex coach, how would you approach sex with a queer couple versus a heterosexual couple?
Okay, I'm assuming you mean sex coaching, because I don't have sex with queer couples. I don't have a lot of heterosexual sex either sometimes. So anyways, listen, I'm not that sex coach. It's just fucking all the time. All right. I'm a real person. Let's be honest. I'm here and I'm no different than you. So how do I approach coaching queer couples compared to coaching heterosexual couples? I'd like to say that there's a whole lot of differences, but there really isn't. When we boil it down, the emotional, communicational and, physical things that we have. We all have the same bodies, right? No matter what, there's, penises and vulvas and, we've been socialized in different ways, which is something that I have to take into consideration. There's a lot of questions that come from me. I've got no problem sitting and saying to you, hey, this is not my lived experience at all. So why don't you give me a little bit of background on what that feels like for you in society, in your day-to-day life, in, your relationships. And then once I know that, we can really kind of boil it down to human communications, the psyche, the psychology of it all and how that works. I think that there probably wouldn't be too many differences, except that I would be really, really open to hearing what your specific lived experience is. Because let me tell you something, even when heterosexual couples come in, queer couples come in, it doesn't matter. You are all different. You are all different. So it's not like one way to deal with all queer couples. It's just not going to work ever. There's no cookie cutter way of coaching, just the same as there would be absolutely no cookie cutter way of dealing with singles with vulvas or singles with penises or, heterosexual couples. So I need a lot of information from you. There'll be a lot of, safety to kind of talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Honesty on my part when I don't know something, understand something, or really would love to kind of co-create that coaching session with you rather than sit and talk at you. There's no, that's not my lived experience at all. So I think those would be the biggest differences. But just knowing that space to come in and have those conversations are still there. And the bottom line of coaching and the bottom line of helping people move through their sexuality and wanting to experience more pleasure is pretty universal when it comes down to the very bare bones of it. Yeah, I hope that helps. I really hope that helps. We answered that question in our first episode as well. So it seems to me like that's something on a lot of people's minds. And I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that this is a place that you can come and ask those questions. If I don't know something, I'm going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we're really going to have a conversation about that. I don't mind. I've said that before too. Sex coaching is not one size fits all. I don't know everything. I'm not going to know everything. The world of sex research, first of all, and, urban sex changes so often that who am I to say that I'm, the all of the information in the world? The only way that we learn is from having conversations with one another. Okay, so our next question. Okay, so this is a fun one. My partner sex dreams in his sleep. He doesn't remember them, or he says he doesn't, but it's never my name, he mumbles. I wish he would just be honest about what he's dreaming about. It is his private world, mad respect, but I'm an open girl and I'm kind of turned on by this. I wish he would share what he's fantasizing about. There's so much to unload in this, okay? Unload on purpose. Don't pardon my pun. Okay, so a few things here. My partner sex dreams in his sleep. He doesn't remember them, or he says he doesn't. He may not remember them, okay? This could be, listen, my husband dreams every night, and all I hear, this is not a word of a lie, he goes, fuck, fuck, fuck. And it was only last night I thought to myself, maybe he's having a sex dream. Maybe he's like, oh, fuck yeah. But it doesn't come out that way because he's mumbling. So he may or may not remember it, okay? We may not ever know. So you might just want to wash your hands clean of that because he might want to keep it to himself. Or maybe he's dreaming about something that he doesn't feel very confident talking about. I don't know. Sometimes I've had some pretty out there sex dreams where I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to tell anybody in the world that I just, fantasized about fucking the gear shift in my car while 7 people watched me outside the window. That's never happened. But anyway, I wish he would just be honest about what he's dreaming about. It is his private world, mad respect. But this is the part I want to focus on. But I'm an open girl and I'm kind of turned on by this. So here's the real nitty gritty. You want to be part of this fantasy because it turns you on and you want to have that connection with your partner. So I wonder, does he know that, right? Does he know that I'm really turned on by whatever it is you're dreaming about? I want to know because I want to get turned on about it too. Second part of that, though, is, God, this is a kick in the teeth for somebody who really wants to share this. Maybe he doesn't want to share that part with you. Maybe that's part of his life that he actually gets to keep private. Our fantasies are real dicey sometimes. Our fantasies are the things that we own. Whatever goes on in our brains, we own it. We don't have to share it with anybody. Sometimes we choose not to on purpose so that we can have a sense of control, a sense of autonomy over our sexuality or our sex life, especially in a long-term relationship or any kind of relationship where you share spaces and, you're sharing everything about your day-to-day, right? So maybe we brush our teeth together. Maybe I have a pussy next to me. I love it. Hi, pussy. It's so soft.
It's very convenient.
It's very convenient to have a pussy next to me. I like it. Okay. Anyways, those are my fantasies. We're going to get into that in a second. So where was I? I just got totally distracted by the pussy. That is so like me. That is definitely, yeah.
He might not want to share it.
He might not want to share it. She keeps me on fucking track. He might not want to share because he wants to have that sense of autonomy, right? We brush our teeth together. We brush our teeth together. Maybe we're pooping together. Maybe we're showering together. Whatever it is, our fantasies are that way of us being able to hold autonomy over something in our lives. I wish he would share what he's fantasizing about. I bet you do. I bet you do. And that's okay. It's okay that you want it, but it is also okay that he doesn't tell you. Now it says, it's not my name, he mumbles. That might not be anybody's name he's mumbling, right? Like when we dream, sometimes we dream silly things. Sometimes there's faceless people in our dreams and we do really ridiculous things. It might sound like a name and it could actually be like Emma, like you could actually hear a name, but that doesn't mean that it's actually cognitively computing to him that way. So he may or may not be dreaming about anything like that. Specifically, where maybe you're like, who's this woman you're dreaming about, right? Like he actually might not have an answer for you at all. He may have these sensations of like, yeah, I was really horny in my dream, or yeah, I did this, but not be able to give you a fantasy about that at all. I think an easier way of you guys sharing that for you to be able to have that fun with him and share your fantasies is to sit down while you're conscious and have a shared fantasy moment. Like talk about that. Say, that sex coach on the sex podcast thing I was listening to told me that we had to. No, I never tell you have to, but I'll always be there as your scapegoat. So if you ever need to say something and be like, I really want to try something, just be like, listen, I was listening to Serena Haines and she said that we should try this thing, right? So sit down with them and say, let's share a fantasy together. What is your deepest, darkest fantasy? Okay, deepest, darkest might be the hard one to start with. Maybe you start with, the easiest fantasy you have, or what kind of porn do you watch? The other thing I want to recommend, and I always recommend this, is a yes, no, maybe game. And you can find that on my website. You can find it anywhere, but I have one on my website. It's just a list of yes, no, and maybe things that are really taboo. They go from really easy vanilla things to taboo things. A list of 50 to 100 things. You get a copy, your partner gets a copy, and you sit down and you go through these, I like to be kissed on the neck. I like to be, anally pegged. I like to, have my tits wanked while you poop on my chest. Sorry, that's just where my head went. But it could be anything is my point. Go through your yeses and give it a shot together. Maybe it brings up some fantasies, right? Maybe it brings up, oh my God, I've never really done that, but I fantasized about doing that quite a bit before. So now this is a way of sharing things that are open and conscious. And then you each get to hold your fantasies and your autonomy in your own heads and be able to choose whether or not you share your fantasies.
I have a follow-up question about this.
Please.
Confession. Is it okay in her situation or him, I'm not sure, but
yeah, I think it was her.
In their situation to, if they are getting turned on while this is happening, can they pleasure themselves to someone sex dreaming? Is that icky? I don't know. This is an uncomfortable question to ask. Is it much different than porn? Is it where they're sleeping? Is there something wrong with that?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's a great question. I think it really does boil down to individual, people. So you could say to your partner, hey, I hear you porn dreaming every night and it really turns me on. And I think that I would like to flick my bean to that. Is that okay with you? Right? I do think that consent needs to travel even through consciousness states, like conscious states. So, you can. Now, listen, if you're lying in bed with your partner and they start kind of doing something, you start playing with yourself, it's not going to be very long before that's your own fantasy and it's your own pleasure anyway. So, but you could have that conversation with your partner and that could bring something up as well. But again, even a dream like that, even a sex dream like that, it likely wouldn't go on for long enough for you to use it as like autoerotica kind of thing. It would likely just kind of be like Emma, fuck, and then trail off. So your partner knows something's going on. Now, if there's like a full ass transcript, I would ask your partner if you could videotape it so that you could both enjoy it the next day, But you are literally walking me through this erotica every night. Can I please record you? We need to do this. We need to listen to this together.
It's time to get one of those security cameras in the bedroom.
For the bedroom, right? Yeah. Those heat sensors, you just see like one little tree heat censored and then like a little bean heat censored on the other side. Always ask your partner, please. It's kind of the same thing. I've had partners. Here we go. I've had partners in my past where I've not wanted to have sex and they're like, well, I'm really horny. And I go, well, I don't want that. And I've offered my ass just to rub it. Just you can touch my body and jerk off if you want, because I really don't want to participate tonight. I'm tired. I don't want to do whatever. But please, if you need tactile stimulation and you need to touch me in some way where I don't, not my boobs or not my whatever, because 5-minute rule, that'll get me in the mood and I don't want to be in the mood right now. But yeah, rub my bum and like do whatever you want to do in order to jerk off. And I've kind of said the same thing. It's like, listen, I don't really want to have sex tonight, but I really just kind of want to flick the bean and get this over with and just go to sleep. Do you mind if I do that in the bed next to you? Kind of thing. Most people are going to say, no, they don't mind. Some people will, and that's okay too. You can have a conversation about that. But this kind of comes hand in hand with being really open with your sexuality and being really open with the way that you communicate with your partner about sex and shame, right? Like your masturbation doesn't have to be done quickly and quietly in the bathroom. You can do it in bed together and it doesn't have to be mutual. You can actually do it exclusively and that's still an okay thing. The next question that we have is going to be a fun one. People will relate to this quite a bit. He says he doesn't like condoms because he can't feel as much. I don't care. Like they say, quote, well, I guess it will suck for both of us then. Babe, you need to be having sex with better people, first of all. Anyways, second of all, but how can I make him realize it's not negotiable, right? And it's not. Also, is there really anyone too big for condoms? They use that excuse too. Like it's too tight for me. Okay. So yeah, first of all, it is non-negotiable. If that's something that you need and something that you want, and the way that you want to practice the safest sex that you can, it is non-negotiable. There are some people who choose not to. Cool. That's on you. That's a you thing. Everybody gets to make their decisions, but both parties have to agree. He says he doesn't like condoms because he can't feel as much. I don't care. I'm like, well, I guess it'll suck for both of us. I don't want it to suck for you too, though. Like, I don't want that to happen. But it's true. Like that's kind of the shtick that people kind of throw out there, right? It's like, well, if I wear a condom, I'm not going to come. And those of us with clitorises, we're kind of like, okay, cool. Welcome to the club. I guess we're both going to eat sandwiches disappointed then at the end. So I don't care is basically what we're saying, is that you're going to wear the condom and you're going to enjoy it. There are so many condoms on the market, years and years and years and years and years and years ago. Okay. And there's still no excuse for it. But there were condoms that were quite thick and they weren't really super awesome. But then there were some that were as well. There's always been. And condoms can be really nice and thin. You can get all kinds of like ribbed and, put lube on the inside and do all sorts of things that are going to help the sensations for the person who's wearing the condom. Okay. Is anyone really too big for condoms? I mean, maybe. But we're going to do a fun little thing here now. And I'm going to show you exactly how big a condom is, exactly what it's capable of. This one smells like bananas. Ooh, I'm going to I feel like I'm taking amoxicillin when I was a kid. Anyways.
I just want to note that this condom is from my bedside table drawer, and yeah, it's a little old.
So like with that said, if we are watching this and it does break, we're going to cut it out. But anyways, a condom, okay, I'm going to put it on the dick first. All right. So condoms, this is a relatively large dick. All right, you guys, like this is a good 6-incher, and we're good, maybe 2 inches girth. The head on it is pretty big. The balls are intact. It's a decent size. I don't know if you can put it compared to my head. Like it's a decent sized dick. So if we put this condom on this dick, so we pinch the head, we'll give a little lesson while we're at it. You pinch the tip of the condom, you put it on top, and then you can, wait, I've got it on backwards. No, I don't. Hold on. Oh, this banana is just rancid. Okay. And then you just roll that condom down over the head, holding the tip so that there's a reservoir there for the cum to come into, because there's nothing that we want less than that cum seeping out, because nobody's choosing to have a baby today. It is Friday. That's not Friday today. Okay. So this guy is really giving me a run for my money, kiddo. Let's see if we can get that roll. It's not always as like sexy as we want it to be, but it's important. All right, so we've got this guy on snap. Hear that? Snap. All right. So this is a pretty good size for this dick. There's a good reservoir on the top. There's lots of lube on this, so you can kind of feel it move around. The dick that I have in my hand actually has a foreskin-ish silicone wraparound on it, so I can feel the skin kind of moving. It's really lifelike, which is really fun when you're doing demos. So that's just on a regular, relatively, bigger than average penis. Now, let's take it off. I'm just going to roll this off, not properly. I'm not doing this properly. If we were going to do this properly, we would pinch the tip. We would make sure that the cum was not anywhere near our bodies, and then we would toss it away. I, on the other hand, I'm going to take this and put my whole goddamn hand in it, because I need you guys to understand and see actually how big a condom can go. Okay, now I'm going to pull on this a little bit, and I'm going to show you, wait, should we blow it up? I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to put my mouth on it. Oh my God. I'm having like childhood trauma / horniness. This is going to ruin me. This is the moment right here. You're all witnessing it. Hold on. I'm going to blow it up. Oh God, gross. And I have a chest infection, and look what I could do. And that is nothing. My friend, if you find a human who is if you find a human who is too large for this condom, and this is an old ass banana flavored condom that's been in a drawer, not a brand new fancy finangled rib for your pleasure, lube on the inside, wonderful, And if you can find somebody who's too big for that, then just please give them my address. Okay, jokes. All right, jokes. But seriously, you could see that, right? Okay, I know some of you can't actually see it, but I did. I put my hand inside that condom. I blew it up the size of your happy birthday balloons, and it didn't break. So, and I know that some people are going to come at me. I know exactly what's going to come at me. It's not the condom part itself. It's the rib on the bottom that cuts into the bottom of my penis, the base of my penis. Okay, but as I've been playing with this condom right now, it's kind of stretching out a little bit, and that's what's going to happen when it's on you as well. The second part of that is, unless it hurts, right? I really do stress, unless it hurts, try a different one, but the uncomfortable feeling of that being tight around the base of your cock is only going to act like a C-ring, like a cock ring, and it's going to hold all the blood in there. It's going to give you a little bit of like tension. There's nothing anybody wants more than a bigger, harder cock. Am I wrong? Right? So if that's the case and you feel like that, the end, like the opening and that ridge is a little bit tight on the base of your cock, pull it to a place where it feels comfy. And then in your head, reframe that. Reframe is really important, right? Is it too small? Does it hurt? Or can I say, you know what? I feel a little discomfort there. Yeah, I do. I feel a little tightness, let's call it. But wow, that's kind of acting like a cock ring right now. And my dick is going to be really hard and I'm going to last for a really long time, maybe, or maybe not. And, that's going to feel great. So just reframe that in a way. But my friend, if anybody says to you that they don't want to use a condom because it doesn't feel good for them, then you can say, please go find somebody else to have your sexual encounter with. Or we will have to do something different, right? We don't have to be crass about it. We don't have to be callous about it. We can really just exert our boundaries in a really kind way. We don't have to be nice, right? We know that there's a difference between being nice and being kind. Nice is people pleasing. Nice is I'll do whatever needs to be done. Nice is, oh, please don't hate me. Okay, let's try it one time. No, be kind. This is my boundary. This is where it lies. This is how I practice my safe sex practices. If you don't want to participate with me that way, that's okay. We can maybe do some manual play together, or maybe we can do, anal play, I was going to say, but hopefully we're using condoms for that as well. But maybe we can do some outer course, some foreplay, some more kissing until you feel comfortable, or maybe until, this is something that we can agree on. So that's going to be really important in a kind and communicative way. Again, in order to get there, you need to find your fuck yes and your fuck no. So understanding that boundary is a fuck no for you, right? Like absolutely not. We're not going to have sex without a condom. It takes out the fear that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, because you know full well you're being kind and you're being protective of yourself and others, and you don't mind standing up for yourself in those moments. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of Intimacy Unlocked. That's episode 2 under our belts. I'm so excited. And all the questions that came in, again, keep them coming. We have our anonymous form and our anonymous voicemail in the show notes. So please go there, click that, and send us in any questions, any confessions. I hope that you can tell that nothing is off the table. We really love to hear from you. You can also reach me at serenahaines.com to book any kind of session that you'd like if you want to have some more one-on-one time, or hit me up on Instagram at Serena_Haines, and you'll find all of my events, workshops, and anything else that's coming up listed there. So thanks so much for listening, everyone. I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to the Intimacy Unlocked podcast, where I'm unlocking your pleasure one question at a time. The key is already in your hands. Are you ready to turn it?